Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Devin Thomas back with another episode of Unscripted. It's been a good week. It's been a great fucking week. I've gotten a lot of shit done this week, and I'm excited to tell you about it. Let's start at the top. Stevie's health update, which has become a regular on this, which I'm not happy about, but it is true. He's been having health issues. Steven Rager is currently at the dentist, taking no stone unturned to find the problems that he's been having. So, yeah, he's out right now doing that. Other than that, he's been, pretty much better, but having some, I'd say, residual pain, having a stiff neck. I mean, he joined Planet Fitness. He's been working out a ton. Could just be muscle pain, but, like I said, don't leave any stone unturned. He's going to try and figure out what the fuck is really wrong with him. And he's been, diligent about doing that. I think at this point, it's really just, it could just be stress. It could be like physical, because like all the tests he's had, nobody's saying like there's something wrong with you. They're saying like, hey man, like there might be something wrong, but we just don't know. And like blood tests and all that shit. I said all the major things, like a fucking cancer, God forbid, or something terrible. It's been, diagnosed negatively, which is a good thing, right? He doesn't have any of that shit. Besides the point though, he's been still focusing on that. We've been, doing some positive shit too, aside from these like medical runs and shit. He's been helping me put together the watch party set. So, the real reason we haven't shot a watch party episode yet, which it's like, one, it's the set. I'm still trying to build it. We can't fit everybody in here. And I think it just wouldn't make sense. But on that note, it's just like, fucking snail mail, waiting for shit to come. God, it's just been, a lot of bullshit waiting around. Hitting Home Depot to buy some stuff. It's been fun though. I'll say that, like, building this set, we were just fucking having fun. We didn't really think too much about it. We were kind of like, this is like a set. Like, we'll use it. We for the podcast, yes, that was the main intent, but it was also like, oh, like maybe we'll just have this like brick wall. We can take pictures on it and shit. It just happened to work out for Unscripted, and I'm very happy with it, but it was, kind of serendipitous. Like, really didn't overthink it. With Watch Party, since I've been doing this pod for a while, I'm like, I think I'm going to like give this one a little bit more theme and a little bit more, whatever you call it, not going to overproduce it, but I'm trying to make it, feel right for what it is. And I think, I think once he feels better, and Christine, she's great. She feels fine. But once everybody's at 100%, then we'll hit the ground running on this one and like start shooting episodes, which we need to, because I've been watching more movies than I ever fucking have. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the weather. Maybe it's something in the water, but I probably watched like 10 movies this week, and I'm not going to talk about all of them on here because some of them I've seen before, and some of them I just like we watched like a lot. I'll just say it now. We watched a lot of like the Zack Snyder, like Man of Steel. What's the second one called? Batman vs Superman, and then fucking Justice League. They're good. I've never been like a diehard like Snyder DCU kind of guy. I like Watchmen. I like Dawn of the Dead. Love 300. I like his work. I have nothing bad to say about him. Even Army of the Dead on Netflix, for what it's worth, I thought it was a good zombie flick. But yeah, I'm not going to delve into his movies as much because I really don't feel like I can speak on them. And I just like, they're not the same. We ended up watching the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy, or at least the first two movies. We're going to watch the last one tonight, but I'll speak on those because I feel like I've always admired them and connected more with them. And watching them this time around, there was a deep philosophical element that is why I think I keep coming back to those movies. They're just so timeless, but I'll save that for that segment. So what else did I get done this week? I had the health department finally come for Secret Pizza, and it was just this one girl. I think her name was Amanda, and she was great. She came through early morning, like 9:30, went through all the steps with me. She was extremely kind, very understanding. Thankfully, I had nothing wrong, no violations, zero, clean bill of health for Secret Pizza, which was nice to know. And look, I'm a thorough guy. Anything I do, even the podcast, movies, screenwriting, whatever, like I've been saying, I don't leave any stone unturned. I just didn't want them coming back. That's how I am with anything. I like to be prepared. I'm not show up at the airport 3 hours early guy, but it's at least a fucking hour, it's prudent. It's precautionary. I'm not a worry wart, but like a little part of my personality is anxious. So like I'm aware of it. And I'm like, yeah, like if I don't want to be anxious, I'll be prepared. Simple fucking solution, right? Be prepared, be informed. I say that shit all the time. But yeah, so when they finally fucking came from the health department, everything was copacetic. Like I said, this Amanda girl, she came through, checked all the fucking boxes. It probably took like an hour. I was thinking they'd be here. I keep saying they. I was thinking like a team of health inspectors were going to show up. I don't know what the fuck I was expecting. But besides the point, she came through, checked the boxes. We talked about dogs. We talked about cats. We talked about fucking the weather. she was cool. We got through all the steps, and then like literally 2 days ago, I got my health permit in the mail. I think Saturday morning, and I was like, wow, like from Wednesday to Saturday, that was pretty quick. And she literally said as soon as she like finished it, I signed something. I'm like, oh, when can I start selling? She's like, you can start selling right now. And I said, well, fuck, that sounds great. And then I ended up talking to my mom, and she's like, you got to get your business license. And I looked into it, and there's like 2 other fucking things I need to get. Like, apparently in California, they want to tax you for everything, right? Especially in the city limits. But I have this thing called a home occupational permit that I have to get, an HOP. And then I have to get the actual business license, which I can't get until I get the fucking HOP. And look, it's a lot of bullshit. Nobody probably fucking cares. I feel like Jordan Belfort. What? This doesn't mean anything to you. But no, for real. Like, it's a very weird experience. Not even weird. It's just different, new, strange. But I've learned a fucking lot. For just selling pizzas out of your kitchen, it seems like quite a bit to do. But honestly, now that it's all fucking done, like I feel good. I feel like I got my arms around it. And the business license, there's nothing really like no inspections or anything. It's just you pay the fee and you're done, right? Even with the HOP thing, pay the fee, you're done. It's just to tell the city that, hey, like I'm doing a business out of my house. And that's why I'm getting this business license. So hopefully within the next few weeks, if not the next month, I'll be, up and operating. I have a meeting Thursday at City Hall. So, and God, I never thought I'd be going to these places. I feel like fucking so grown. Going down to City Hall to get my, occupational permit. And then I'm going to get my business license. And it's just funny. It's probably not as crazy as I think, but I don't know. It's been an interesting experience, and I'm excited to share fucking the pizza. It won't be such a secret after we're open. And yeah, it'll be really cool. What else did I do this week? So on top of Stevie's other medical issues, he and Christine have been trying to find a new mattress. They bought, I think, one a few months ago, and I think they're getting close to that 120-day return period where it's like, if you have 120 sleepless nights, then you keep it. But if not, you can fucking return it. And like, they're just not satisfied. I think it's too soft. They're feeling like it just didn't, I don't know, whatever. No. Actually, the mattress they bought is an ultra firm because I sleep on an ultra firm. I've had back problems in the past. I've got this, Foster & Stearns, nice fucking mattress. I was having huge back problems like in 2023. So part of my lifestyle changes was to get a better mattress. The other thing I was sleeping on was nice, but it was too soft. And I didn't even think, I didn't even fucking think about the mattress I was sleeping on before. So anyways, I convinced them to get the ultra firm because they would come in my room and like sit on my bed or lay on it and be like, wow, this is fucking amazing. I'm like, yeah, it is. I fucking love it. So, they tested them at Macy's. They went to every fucking place, Mancini's, God knows where, Mattress Firm, all of them, every single one. They're very thorough, kind of like me. And besides the point, they ended up testing them. They went to Macy's, they tested them. They ended up buying the Foster & Stearns Ultra Firm. Well, now, what has it been? Fucking 2 months. They're 3 months almost. They're like, hey, fuck it. Like, we got to get rid of this thing. It's like maybe part of the problem for Stevie's body painting. Christine likes it, but if Stevie needs to find the solution, we're looking, right? So anyways, they went to a lot more mattress stores than me. I kind of opted out in my head. At some point, I'm like, I've seen them. I'm good. I'm not buying the fucking thing. Let me know when you pick one. But then Stevie ended up going to this custom mattress maker over in Carmel, and the guy was cool. Had a nice little showroom, and he had a great fucking mattress. It was like super custom made, like with proprietary shit. Look, like, it's a custom made mattress. What else do you expect? But the dilemma was that they'd already returned this other one from Macy's, and then they were going to fucking exchange it and this and that. And like, when you start doing that shit, it's overwhelming. I hate even doing that shit because I'm like, fuck, like corporate exchanges are never smooth. They can be, but usually they're not. They always have a fucking, caveat that fucks you. Like this one had a $400 restocking fee. That was a surprise, but they didn't see till later. And eventually they got it corrected. But like, that's the bullshit I'm talking about. But anyways, he ended up buying this mattress from the custom guy, then sleeping on it, quite literally sleeping overnight, and then being like, I don't know, like maybe I shouldn't buy this one, maybe I should buy that one. So I don't know which one they picked now. I think they're going back to fucking Macy's. But the reason I even mentioned this is that the custom mattress maker dude was cool. He was like a music producer guy. He's in his mid 60s, late 60s. He was just, cool guy, and he wasn't like a hard salesman. He just wanted to connect with people, and he was extremely upfront about how he did his business. And like, I appreciated that. And I wasn't with Stevie when he went back, because he went back to get a refund from the guy because he felt, he didn't feel bad, but he's like, hey, you know what, man, I changed my mind. And the guy was super understanding. He's like, no, I get it. Look, I don't want to, it was a small town. I don't want a problem, and especially over in Carmel, it's super small. But besides the point, yeah, he went back, and when he was there, the guy has like mild Parkinson's. So my brother ended up meeting another actor, And that was like his kind of driver slash, kind of like business assistant guy, whatever. And it's just funny. It's like, that's kind of the beauty about even those interactions, is that you're going to meet people that are maybe in the same field as you, whatever, network, and like kind of build your community once again. And you don't even know that some of these people are in your community, which is crazy. And like, anyway, Stevie connected with this guy, and I think we're going to go get beers or something sometime this next week. Really depending on Stevie's health. Like, as long as he feels good, I'm good to go. But yeah, it's just funny. You don't know, like, this little experience with the mattress, it ended up being kind of a connectivity towards like the field of work we're already in. And you know what? The guy who made the mattresses, he was super into music. Like I said, the family business was mattress, but this guy was a producer, and like he made it very clear that he's like, like kind of supplement like my artistic life with the finances from this. And that's kind of how like I think like any artist needs to think. Like the art will eventually pay the bills if you're doing something significant. But I think it's always good to keep the day job or have like a source of income. Like, a lot of big celebrities, even like, look at Ryan Reynolds. He's in a lot of movies, but dude, he cashed out off cellular. What is it? Fucking Mint Mobile? Guy's a billionaire now. Just, always be entrepreneurial. Don't think so like, oh, if I just got in one movie one time, like, yeah, that sounds great, but like, that's not going to be what makes you financially stable. Maybe, but like realistically, probably not. And like, for any creative out there, it's just like, don't think you have to put all your chips in on the table all the time. Like, you can diversify, and I think you should. It's a smart thing to do. Make sure you're not caught up in just like all your eggs in one basket, simply said. But yeah, that being said, I think it was good. He connected with this actor. I think it'll be cool. You never know who you're going to work with. And like I said, a lot of this acting game or creative game is just being available or knowing people that are making movies. I've kind of said this before. I used to be seeking somebody. I'm like, well, where can I get work? Where can I do it? And then when I started creating the work, now it's kind of like, oh, I'm in the other, it's like a 180. Like, oh, now like people can come to me and I can put them into my shit and I can create an opportunity for somebody, which is like really cool. And I think if you apply that same thing for yourself in whatever field you're doing, let's say filmmaking, creating opportunities is just as good as finding them. And if you can find them, great. But also creating them is like, you're going to level up, because people are going to start coming to you as maybe not a voice of authority, but as like a source for like, hey, like they're serious. They're actually doing this. I want to be a part of something bigger. And I think the best way to do that is working with them. And I don't mean that in an egotistical way. I mean, we're building a community. We're bringing people together. People are going to be able to be a part of something bigger. And you know what? It only helps everyone. It doesn't make me feel, sure, there's maybe some selfishness and like, oh, I feel good. I got to provide somebody with an opportunity. But I also get the, reciprocal benefits of that. Someone's going to go out and talk about the movie and talk about the experience. And I hope it's a good one if we all work together, but they're going to be able to, it helps you get your name out there as much as you're helping put their name out there. And I think the older you get and the more you do art, I said this before, you got to play fair with everyone. You got to be nice. You got to be able to play with others and be polite and be professional. And, I think it's something that it comes with growth. When I was younger, I definitely think I had a harder time, maybe not even working with other people, but just like accepting that like other people can be helpful and they understand and they can be a part of something bigger. And like, I think it's all part of the growth. But yeah, I mean, especially on my first movie, it was very tight knit. I was afraid to let people in, not because I didn't think people could be beneficial, because I was afraid they would not understand what I was trying to do or whatever. And it's just like, a young creative point of view. People are very smart. They're very understanding. And the older you get, I think the more you realize like, hey, there's nothing wrong with asking for help. There's nothing wrong with having people that want to help, you while you help them. And yeah, so that was random, but that came from the mattress incident and the mattress purchase, the whole situation. But yeah, I'm hoping Stevie gets a little benefit from that. Hopefully his health is better once the new mattress shows up. I think they ended up going with this hotel collection mattress. I want to say that's right. You'll fucking tell me if it's not. But yeah, hopefully that also helps him feel better, because I've been working on some other stuff this week creatively, which the thing I really worked on the most this week creatively was the Unscripted movie script, which I know I keep calling it that, and I think it probably will be the name. But yeah, I've been thinking a lot about like what type of movie I want to make next, or like, let alone like, I don't know, like I write a lot of shit. Like I know I've talked about Slugger quite a bit, and Slugger's still, something that's in development. We're really trying to make Slugger, like I've said before, like our Hollywood movie, like the movie we go out and we make and we try and sell and have this thing distributed wide. And I think it's very possible that, the more I get into this business, like take away the glitz and the glam, it's a business, dude. People are trying to make deals. They're trying to put together something that can maybe not only be good, but make money and get a return and possibly have franchise ability. And like, if you have the right IP, I think it's not a fucking far cry. I think anyone can do it. And I think like there's a Marcus Aurelius quote, but if it's possible, you can do it. or like if any man could do it. I don't know. I don't have it in front of me, but I always butcher these. But it's fucking besides the point. If any other human can do it, so can you. You know, I've heard Steve Jobs say similar shit. And that's kind of like I said, Slugger's the long haul. We're going to try and get that one in and make like a splash, and really maybe that'll be, you know, the gift that keeps on giving financially, or even just, you know, creatively. It'll be fun. You know, if I could write a Slugger movie every year for the rest of my life, I'd fucking do it, because I love the character and I love the universe and I love just the idea in general. But anyways, besides the point, I was not writing on Slugger this week. I haven't written on Slugger in a minute. I was writing on this unscripted screenplay. And, you know, I was circling around this idea. I kind of said that, I think, last week, circling around, like, do I just improv this movie? Do we just do this? Do we do that? And like, I think I finally just sat down. I'm like, I think I know what I need to say, what I want to say with this script. And that's what I did. And you know what? I think I started writing it. I think I started writing it Wednesday night, and I finished it up maybe Saturday evening. And last night I did a second draft, but it came in around like 82, 83 pages. And, you know, I feel like it's appropriate amount. And it's just funny, you know, it was a movie that it's like a meta. It's kind of about my life, but it's also not, because it's fictional and the characters are fictional. I mean, aside from Stevie, he kind of plays himself in the movie as well. And he's going to be co-directing. So we're going to figure out all the details, but it feels like not only a movie that can be made in budget, it's a movie that's honest. I think it's a movie that has, I wouldn't call it embarrassing, but like, I do think it's low key, like, so honest. It's embarrassing for me to put it out and maybe even be in it. But like, what is embarrassment? Telling the truth and not holding back. Like, yeah, that's what people want. People don't want to see a fucking homogenized, diluted version of the truth. The truth needs to be naked. It needs to be right in front of you. And you got to say, like, fuck, like, I see myself in this, is what I want people to see when they watch this movie, or be like, I know that moment. I've been there. And that's so important. And like, I've talked a lot about like Joe Swanberg and like mumblecore and shit. And I feel like this movie taps into that. And it taps into that like rawness and that element while doing my own thing. Like, I'm not trying to do Swanberg. I call it Swanbergian, but like, yeah, like I think like there's elements of, and I'm just trying to make something that I would not only watch, but something that feels right now for me to make. Feels like it will not only be worth the time and effort, but like, I think this could kind of be like a calling card movie. I know I'm hyping it up right now, which is, I don't have any problem doing that, because I'm confident and I believe in the project. But yeah, it's something that will be, I don't even know how to call it. It'll be interesting to say the least. And I'm excited to make it. You know what? Like, I know I'll go back and draft it again, but even doing a second draft last night, I was just reading it. I'm like, fuck, like, I've gotten good. And that's not in a cocky way. I'm just saying, like, I've gotten good. Like, I read the script. I'm like, you know what? For a first or second draft, it's pretty fucking tight. There's not a lot of wasted. There's no fat to trim. That's one thing I say about my scripts too, is like, I'm not overwriting this motherfucker. I'm writing intentful scenes, purposeful scenes, beats that like, I kind of see the movie in my head before I write it, or I'm watching the movie. I'm making the movie in my mind. And I feel like this movie really hits like where I'm at mentally, emotionally, as a 32-year-old guy, just fucking, podcasting, living through life. I think it captures a very modern person, a very modern time, a very millennial perspective and image. And there's maybe Gen Z vibes in there as well. But yeah, I think like this movie will be a kind of a voice for millennials. I think it'll have an impact where like, if you watch it and you're from my age bracket or my time, that you'll be like, fuck, that's us. That's me, and that's what I want. I really don't want to fuck around, because I can make something fantasy or whatever. And I know, and I will. This isn't the only thing I'm going to make. That's also the perspective I have now. But this movie is to tell the truth, and to tell the truth of this moment in time. And like, I think that's super important. And it's, it's a love story. It's a creative journey. It's about growth. It's about emotional maturity. It's a pretty fucking good script. I'm not even trying to hype it up, but like, I literally think it's the best thing I've written. And I've written I've written probably hundreds of scripts at this point, but I don't know. I'm excited to make it. I have this like feeling about it where it's like, I'm almost like a little anxious about it, because I think it's like, I don't want to be too precious with it, but I think it's something that will really connect and resonate with the audience, and people will be able to identify themselves in the film as much as just, enjoy it for what it's worth. And I like movies like this. It's a movie I'd like to see, and I don't think it's a movie that quite exists. I've seen a few movies about podcasters. I know Tusk, Kevin Smith's film, is about, Justin Long and Haley Joel Osment, or, a podcast duo, and they do a show. And then, fuck, what's the other movie I was just thinking of? Easy. And Joe Swanberg's Easy. There's, well, you know what? I don't know if there is a podcast where there's elements of, Mark Maron kind of playing himself as a podcaster in the show, but he's actually a writer. But I digress. It's a new idea. and maybe not even a new idea, but I'm going to take it and put my flavor and spin on this modern take of the creative journey through the lens of a filmmaker, podcaster, writer, which is really just who I am, which is what I'm going to try and do. I'm going to try and blend reality and fiction and make it super meta. And I think that this could be I don't know, I wouldn't call it a calling card, but like maybe like a movie that if you saw and then you saw me later and found the content, you might not know like what the reality from the truth is. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's cool when movies are able to blend fiction and reality. I kind of say like Entourage. Like Entourage would have Vinny Chase, who's really Adrian Grenier, but in the show, he's Vinny Chase. But he'd meet a celebrity, say he meets fucking Mandy Moore. Mandy Moore is still Mandy Moore. You can't, it gets to the point where you're like, fuck, like, did that happen? No, it's not a documentary. This is fucking fiction. But you get that blend of reality and fiction, and it makes it, I wouldn't call it muddy, but it kind of clouds that area between reality and fiction. It's like a gray area, which I like and I think is powerful. And I think if you're a creative, that's something that, not even just a creative, I think if you're just watching something and enjoying it, that's just something interesting to watch. No, like I think you can kind of connect with an idea like that, maybe even more than, let's just say, straight fantasy, like Hunger Games. It's like, we clearly know when we watch Hunger Games, it's not in reality. Or Harry Potter, like, she does a good job at making it plausible. And same with Hunger Games for that matter, they make it plausible. But on the other hand, you accept that it's fiction. When you're watching something like this, where there's no special effects, this is reality, you might watch it and be like, wow, like, if I met this guy, I might think this really happened to him. And I think that's cool. And it's not even documentary style. It's just, I've been kind of coming up with this term, but I call it driftcore, because like I feel like right now people are living through their life, and it's not, you're not like our traditional path in like the American lifestyle specifically. And maybe this isn't just here, but in at least my life in America and California, people are not living like they used to. It used to be, you know, you're married by 25, you have kids, you got the job, the house. Like, it's just not like that anymore. People are different. People are way fucking different, and times have changed. And like, I think there's a millennial drift. I think we're drifting through life right now, kind of like looking for purpose and intent. And I think we're drifting back to the right spot. But this millennial drift it's a real thing. And I feel like this movie captures that. And I'm kind of coining it now. I think it's like driftcore. It's mumblecore, but evolved. It's not revival of mumblecore, but it's mumblecore with a millennial lens. Whereas before, maybe it was more of a Gen X lens, if you want to call it that. But as a millennial, and maybe that's not fair to say, maybe those were the younger millennials at the time, but now I'm like at the bottom of the millennial totem pole. And I'm thinking, you know what? Like, yeah, I feel like this is a perspective of somebody it's lived. The words in the script are lived. This is a lived experience script. And I think that's what's going to make it resonate. I think that's what's going to make it special. And I think that's what's going to make people want to keep coming back, maybe to see this or revisit it. And like, we'll see when it's done. You know, I can say it's going to be the best movie ever, and maybe it will be. But I know one thing, it's honest and it's truthful, and it is something that I really like want to make and feel like I'm at a place in life where I'm ready to make it. That being said too, you know, I've been hearing a lot of people talk, and that's on the unscripted note for the flick. But I've also been thinking of a lot about people that, you know, they talk about they want to be creative and they want to do something, and, you know, or people talk about, I'm going to write my script or do this. And I'm like, fuck, you know, like a week ago, I didn't have this unscripted movie script. Today, I've got a second draft. If you really want to do something, just go and do it. You know, I think Stallone wrote Rocky in 3 nights. He won a fucking Oscar. If you want it, just do it. Stop getting in your own way. And I know I beat this horse, but even for myself, I was circling around this unscripted idea. Like maybe a few pods ago, I was talking about being at Shamsol. I'm like, I'm going to bring my laptop and write, do this. And it's like, fuck it. You know, I did it right here. I write in this studio. Oddly enough, I write right at this table with my laptop. I don't have it out while I'm doing the show, but this is right where I write. And I love it. I sit here, I just fucking go to town. And, you know, it's funny. The script, it came out organically, and it always feels like a little scary to start, because that blank page, that first page, you're just like, fuck, like, I don't know. Like, do I got it? Do I got another script in me? And then once you start, you're fine. But I've been listening to, like, you know, a lot of other people I know, their podcasts and stuff. And I hear a lot of people saying like, well, I'm trying to like figure like this out or get on the path to that. And it's like, if you want to be a writer, just start writing. You don't need a fucking like, who's going to tell you the answer? The answers are within. Like, and it sounds maybe cheesy, but like, if you want to be a writer, start writing. If you want to be a director, start fucking directing. If you want to be an actor, start acting. It's that simple. Action, you know, And I'll tell you right now, if you're somebody who's thinking like, well, I don't need to do that much research or do that much homework, it's like, well, sure, maybe you get lucky, but there's somebody out there that's doing the homework. They're out fucking performing you. They're out thinking you. They're scheming up. They're trying to get better. They're trying to get more informed. They're trying to learn as much as they can about their field of interest so they can get into their field of interest and be an expert. Not just to like, oh, I'm happy to be here or whatever. You know, a lot of people, especially in LA, a lot of people just want to be fucking famous. Who gives a fuck about fame, right? Do you want to be famous or recognized for your work? Because those are two different fucking things. You could be like Mama June from fucking Honey Boo Boo and you're famous, but maybe not for the right reasons. Like, what are your real accomplishments? I'm not trying to bash her. I'm just saying, like, that's different, you know, versus being somebody who's like created like substantial work that you're like, wow, this is fucking like some real fucking work. You know what I mean? And like, if it's good, you'll get recognized, and recognition usually comes with the aftermath of maybe fame or at least like notability, right? And that's what I think you should be striving for. Like, fuck trying to just get famous for the sake of getting famous. I think that's wrong. But that also goes into like being an expert or getting into a field of work. If you're going to get into any, I don't care if you want to be a fucking, like I've used this example, if you want to be a fucking carpenter or astronomer, whatever you're going to do, become an expert at that shit. You want to be a fucking master builder, contractor, you better start your journeyman hours and go and work for another guy because you need to learn how to do the craft. Goes into anything. If you want to be in the film business, might be important to know fucking film history. Might be important to actually watch movies and be informed. Like, I'm just saying, like, you can't just coast through it and like, because people will fucking know and creatives will know. And if you want to be a suit and not be on the creative end, that's fine. But like, those are two different things. Once again, like a suit is really just like a lawyer that's an expert. They fucking know the entertainment business. They're out to profit, but also to keep you protected, right? As where if you're a creative and you want to be a creative, it's like, just be fucking a creative. Like, don't hold yourself back, I guess is what I'm saying. And I hear this a lot. That's why I'm even bringing it up. I hear people say like, well, one day I'm going to start writing my script. Or I started writing a script my junior year of college, but it's been 10 years. I haven't written it. Now I'm doing this other job and I have no idea what the fuck I'm actually going to do, but I know I want to be a writer. It's like, well, it sounds like whatever other job you're doing right now is what you're doing. And I'm not saying everyone has the privilege to just not sit around and fucking, you know, sit down and just write all day. But like, look, I've been in the tight pinch. Like I remember like when I wrote like my first, not my first screenplay, but my first movie, like it's called The Moonlight Disco. I still have it. It is a very dear script to me and it still holds up. It's great. I've read it recently, but it's like when I wrote this thing, it was a horror flick. I wrote it and I sat in my fucking apartment in Hollywood. I watched Mad Men in the background with the sound real low and I just grinded it out. And it took me like maybe a month and a half of just like, I straight up didn't go out. I just sat there. I'm like, I'm going to write this screenplay. I need this 100 pages or whatever the fuck it ended up being. I need it. And that was when I was like 19, maybe 20, 21. I think it was 21 when I wrote that fucking script, maybe 22. And I can even think back to then, like I wanted it. I was hungry and I had that same hunger now. And like, if you're trying to get into any of this shit, all I'm saying is like, you better be hungry. You better be ready to fucking work because somebody else is outperforming, outworking, outthinking, outsmarting, and trying to be better than you. And they might take your fucking job if you're not really caring about it. So maybe if you're fucking thinking about doing this, focus effort on it. Even like I said, even when I was still down in LA working, had other shit going on in my life, I was still coming home and writing as much as fucking possible. Because I've said this before, but you can learn how to screenwrite, but it cannot be taught. And I think that's like, I'm going to stick by that. You cannot teach someone how to write a screenplay. You have to sit down and fucking learn all the elements of the program, all the elements of like structure, how someone talks in the screenplay, how like what really matters, what needs to be on the page, what doesn't. It really starts to make you not only think differently, but when you watch movies, you're like, holy fucking shit. Like, and I'll get into this in a second. I just watched, like I said, the Chris Nolan Batmans, and like I could just see the script this time. Even the shots, like a lot of it was like tight coverage, and I'm like, they're beautiful images. They're very almost like painting, like almost Renaissance paintings. They're incredible. A lot of Rembrandt lighting, very dark, shadowy, incredible, fucking incredible. But I really saw this time the script, and I was like, they could have shot this anywhere. It didn't matter because the dialogue, it could have been done on a fucking stage. It was incredible. And yeah, I get it. It's Batman. There's fucking extreme fucking scenario, shit blowing up, you know, whatever. But that's how good the script was, is that I could see it. And you know what? Let's get into Batman. I watched some other shit, but I want to talk about Batman now because I feel like I'm moving right into it. Batman Begins and Dark Knight. I watched both of them. And like I said, Christine wanted to watch. We watched the new Superman. I think we talked about that last week. We fucking didn't like it. And no offense to James Gunn and all them. Like, I get it. A movie's hard to make. I don't want to bash it. But like, I'm sticking with my 5 out of 10 for now. Possibly 4. And anyways, We watched Man of Steel. We watched Batman vs Superman. We watched Justice League. They're good. Zack Snyder's thing is his thing. I don't think they hit the same depths or philosophical notes that Christopher Nolan's do. And also, Christopher Nolan's movies were important because in 2005, when Batman Begins came out, the last movie of Batman before that was the 1997 Batman and Robin. Dude, no. Like, I like the movie for like the fucking campy, like fucking carnival vibes, whatever you want to call it. It's an absolute it's a farce. It's not even close to the level of like Christopher Nolan's filmmaking. And I'm not trying to hate on Schumacher. It's just, they're not the same. So when Nolan made this Bat, it was the first like serious superhero movie. There was Spidey, and Spidey was good. I love Sam Raimi's Spider-Mans, but there's a sense of levity in those films. And there's definitely drama. Like, they're intense. They're great movies. I have nothing bad to say. Those are my favorite Spider-Mans. But I think Batman Begins brought out this very serious art house tone that we had not seen yet. And I think everybody knows this in fucking the superhero genre. And yeah, even watching it 10 years later, or no, God, no. I think if it's 05, this movie's 20 years old. That's fucking crazy. I can't believe it's 20 years old. But yeah, it's funny. I remember when Batman Begins came out, I was up at Bass Lake out of town with my friend. And then I came home and Stevie told me, so you got to see this fucking movie. I went and saw it with Mom. And I was like, oh, really? And I remember watching it and instantly being enamored. I was like, I can't believe like a movie could be like this. It was so fucking cool, especially if you're a Batman fan. And I think the reason why is that the movie has a timeless theme. Watching it this time, I could really see Christopher Nolan and Jonathan Nolan's writing, as well as David Goyer's story. But it was just, the themes were so good. The theme is about fear and identity and being afraid to, just being afraid. Bruce Wayne's story as a kid, he's scared. He gets frightened by the bats, falls down the well, he's traumatized. The dialogue's about getting back up, and like continuing forward with life. It's kind of the messages that are in there. Like, Nolan does a great job at looping these lines and these messages back in, because it gets really into like, it's almost psychological. Like, these are the things that, Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne experiences throughout the film. The reason he even goes on this journey to become Batman is because he realizes that he does not know his enemy. He wants to become a criminal so he can understand that fear and lose the fear of it, because he's going to be afraid until he fucking, crosses this, place where he has experienced what even the lowest dredges of life have to offer. And just hearing the dialogue and how fucking good it was. And, Christina hadn't seen them, so we were talking about it and we'd pause it even. She's like, God damn, like that line. I'm like, I know. I was really hearing like how like not only stoic Batman was, but how philosophical the films were on a broader scale. It didn't have to just do with Bruce Wayne's life. This could apply to all life, which is what I think a great filmmaker does. He's able, I'd say Christopher Nolan, but also Jonathan Nolan, because I know he contributes a lot to the dialogue, we're able to have lines in there that just made you feel just the power and the weight of the words, which I just, some movies now, I feel like they think the audience is dumb. This movie is high caliber, like high level thinking. Movies now, I think they think the audience is dumb, or they just don't think they can handle something that philosophical or that, high level thinking, which is disappointing, because I think that's once again why I keep coming back. 20 years later, I'm watching it and saying this is a timeless film, and it applies to even today's like state of affairs with, politics and all that shit. It is very timeless about, people are afraid right now, even with what's going on. And like, I think it's just really, I don't know, finding a place that everybody can have perspective. I think that's what these movies did, is they gave Batman gets perspective on like what real justice is versus revenge. He's like, oh, I don't think, at first he just wants to kill the people that killed his parents, and he wants to just get revenge. And then he understands that there has to be a balance between like not only bringing somebody to accountability, but also making sure there's due process. And I think that's, a conversation a lot of people are having right now. Let me check my notes here. Anyways, besides the point, here it is. Justice is about harmony. Revenge is about making yourself feel better. It's why we have an impartial system. Yes, like 100%. That's exactly why. And I think that's a really like, it's a good note to have in there, and the script and Dark Knight, like Dark Knight was a different theme. It was more on like chaos and control and like how the world can get fucked up if we let it run away from us. But yeah, and I think this, like these movies, like they're so timeless, because this isn't like, this shit's happening right now in the world, right? People think shit's going bad, whatever. But like, this was 20 years ago. People thought the same thing then. People thought the same things 20 years before that and 20 years before that. People don't change really. Ideas change, times change, but like maybe ideas don't even change that much. I think things are just timeless, and history repeats if we're not careful and all that bullshit. But like, yeah, that's what made Christopher Nolan's movies so good and so powerful and so, like I said, so timeless even to the day. Yeah, fuck. What else did I watch this week? I ended up watching this movie. Let me see here. The Cut. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. I hadn't heard of it. My buddy Anthony recommended it to me. It's a brand new movie. It's Orlando Bloom. It's got John Turturro. And there's some other actors in it. I wasn't familiar with them, but they're really good. Movie's about a fucking boxer who's like washed up. He, was a champ, but then he lost. And he got like a huge cut over his eye. I don't think the movie's even about that particularly, but he ended up losing big and then he kind of retired. And then there's a big fight in Vegas. One of the fighters, I think, dies or like has an accident. He can't fight. So this dude who's throwing the fight comes to him and says to Orlando Bloom in Ireland, he's like, hey, I want you to fight. He's like, you're like one of the best records. You just retired young. And anyways, he goes into it and he's way overweight. He has to lose like, I think like 25 pounds in a week or like something crazy, like 10 days. So he flies to Vegas and he's like 180. He has to get down to like 154 or 153. And the movie's just about the extent that he will go to do this. And it's about discipline and it's about mind over matter, but it's also like a little bit of a cautionary tale about what that industry entails. Like some people do some really fucking extreme shit to lose the weight or to make it. And it also shows his dilemma with his own, like, eating habits. Like he's like really into like candy or like chocolate or something. And it seems like even though he's supposed to be cutting, like he's still like, he'll leave the hotel room and go get a candy bar. And like, it's just strange, and he's like bulimic and like, it's a very extreme, but the movie itself was incredibly well made. God, I think I have the guy's name on here. Let me see. Sean Ellis is the director. I've never heard of him, but wow, what a powerful film. Really well directed, really well crafted. I saw on the poster it said TIFF, so maybe it premiered at TIFF. And look, I like Orlando Bloom. He's actually in the show Easy, Swanberg show, and I've seen him do some more alternative stuff like that where it's like, oh, he's not playing, fucking Will Swan from fucking Pirates of the Caribbean, which is fine. But yeah, it's seeing him in a new light when he does something more Indian. In this movie, he transforms. He becomes this Irish fucking boxer. Like, I was like, wow, maybe a career best for him, honestly. I have to see more of his stuff, but not more of his stuff, but like kind of look back through IMDb and be like, okay, I remember that one. But this one was really, really good. Maybe one of his best performances ever. And the idea of the film, it was just like, it's almost like hard to watch when it gets towards like the end of the movie because he's going to such extremes to lose weight. Like he's like taking blood out of his body. I mean, it's insane. Like, and it makes you think like, is this really what people do in this profession to just make weight and get there? And maybe it is based off of some, reality, which is kind of scary to think about. But besides the point, the movie was really good, really well shot. It was shot on 35, had that gritty film look. It was a festival movie in the sense that like you could tell it was like a special interest movie, but I'm surprised this didn't get a broader release, and perhaps it will. But yeah, I was into it for what it's worth. And John Turturro is just menacing in it. He plays the trainer that they kind of bring in. He's not a ringer, but they bring him in to be like the guy who's like, if you need to lose the fucking weight, I'm the guy you fucking come to. I'll make it happen. It's not going to be easy, but I make winners. And yeah, the movie overall, it had this like theme of like discipline. I would say even just like emotional guilt, emotional weight, because he has like guilt from his past that's holding him back. And I think he also identifies like this one certain food with that past, and maybe that's why it's hard for him to give it up. It's very strange. I suggest you watch it if you can find it. The Cut, Sean Ellis, with Orlando Bloom, John Turturro. Very interesting movie. It was not what I expected, and to be quite frank, I was pleasantly surprised. It's intense, but yeah, I think if you're looking for something different, like I wasn't looking for this movie, but the fact that, my buddy recommended it to me, I was pleasantly, fucking surprised. So The Cut 2024, it says here, actually, Sean Ellis, Orlando Bloom, go watch it if you can find it. I think that's about all I got, guys. I'm Devin Thomas, and this is another episode of Unscripted. I'll talk to you next week.